Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is G. You're watching Allastrology. And this is your week of October 20th, 2025, and the following 7 days. All right, there's kind of a lot going on. And we're going to start at the very beginning, October 20th. And we've got something happening. Let's see. We've got Neptune and we've got Scorpio season beginning this week. Neptune's making a move. Mercury and Uranus. We have a new moon this week as well. And we're going to have to talk about a retrograde. I'm kind of focused on Pandora's box because she's at 1 degree. And that is in an air sign, Libra, equality, justice, Lady Liberty, courtroom, Congress, partnerships, love and professional business partnerships, diplomacy. And it's in a strong trine with Pluto. So we talk in business. We know Pluto, ruler of the tariffs. And then, of course, Uranus, technology, but also Sedna. We haven't really mentioned her a lot lately because it's just been so loaded. There's been a lot to talk about with Uranus and Pluto at kind of at the steering wheel, but then Sedna always hovering, always hovering at the 1 degree. She's kind of like a feminine version of Pluto energy, deep, intense, powerful, hidden, but then it kind of just comes up to the surface and it's like, holy shit, where did this come from? What is this about? Tragic stuff is Sedna. It's a tragic story of betrayal and just undesirable stuff for feminine energy. Okay, so there's a big trine with Uranus and Sedna and Pandora's box, which is, oh shit, we went there. We opened up this box and boy, what a mistake that was, So it's business partnership. So Congress and judges and the Supreme Court and a lot of power moves, authoritative power moves for sure. This can be a wonderful trine because it opens up the windows and the doors and the phone lines, basically, of communications where we're willing to sit down and talk and have a place at the table. But my big concern is there is a lot of history involved and shocks and surprises and Pandora's box, which is kind of like we've opened it and it unleashed all the evils of the world. So it's not real pleasant when Pandora's box gets opened. However, it does create movement and a change. And now we can actually see what we're dealing with. There's a grand water trine and a grand air trine. And the water trine is equally powerful this week. The intense communications, intense energy. There's some beneficial help possibly from Jupiter here. This is a surrender degree of Jupiter. It can be, what's going on over there, overseas, across the pond. It is political figures, government figures. This is the governmental degree here, right? Institutional energy. It can be, like I said, surrender and understanding, right? It can be nature. Like there's a lot of beautiful ways that I can talk about this, but there can also be ways where it's like, oh, this represents prison. And that would be correct as well. And this is, immigrants, immigration. This is beliefs and the future. And Jupiter typically, especially this week, and more specifically, we'll go to the next day now. I have written on the chart from the 22nd to the 25th, we have a beautiful grand trine in water with Mercury and Mars and Saturn, and then Jupiter. You follow? So Mercury and Mars start the week at 19 and together at 19, and they kind of travel together. Mercury's a little faster than Mars, but Mercury starts connecting with Jupiter and then Mars starts connecting, but they also connect with Saturn. So this brings about the possibility for an opportunity of talking and communicating and working together. That's a possibility for a long-term goal. And it is a restructuring and reorganizing energy. This is a Saturn retrograde in government and institutional energy. Neptune, you see it at 0 here. On the 22nd, Neptune is officially home. It's back in Pisces energy. So, with Neptune retrograding and in Pisces, this brings about releases of endings, of let goes, a surrender type of thing. And it's political for sure. It's authoritarian energy to the degree, I say authoritarian energy because with Pisces and Neptune combined, right? It really kind of strengthens the Pisces stuff. And the Pisces stuff can be a little on the what's going on behind those closed doors. What are the backroom deals that are going on, right? It can be the hidden, but also a grand show, a grand show. And it's a retrograding Neptune. So government figures and heads of state, for sure. Look in your charts and see if you have something around the 20, 22, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 degrees of water, because this may be an opportune time to get stuff done. That has to do with long-term goals, things you were working on, things that you just could never get completed or finished. When Mercury and Mars are connecting with Saturn, it says, okay, it's time, it's serious time. It's time to get this taken care of. It's time to follow through on this and to finish it up. I'm disciplined, I'm diligent, I'm focused on work type of energy. Okay. So that can be super beneficial. There was a new moon this week on the 21st, and it's a new moon in Libra. Right. So, this Monday was the 20th. So Tuesday, tomorrow, right? The 21st, a new moon in Libra energy. And the new moon in Libra, because I have a separate video, I'm just going to make a quick mention here. It's at 28 degrees. We know what Libra is, right? We think of courtrooms, of course, and lawyers. We think of justice, but we also think of equality. We think of balance, right? Cooperation, negotiations, compromise. 28 degrees. You see this? I got the moon there because that's a moon degree. So we think of the past at the moon. We think of history. We think of the public. We think of feminine energy and women and families and home. And, home as in my family, but also the greater family, humanity. And how is your home doing, by the way? Like the big picture of your home. I think of the USA, which I just kind of refer to as America now. It's hard to say that our country is united. So the 28-degree new moon, yeah, you want more information on that, go watch that video. But typically the new moon represents a new cycle is beginning. Okay, it is Libra, so it's partnerships, love, and business. The nodes are at 17. Okay, and this is normal, they go backwards. North node in Pisces, the future, where we're headed, what's going to be our future, what's going to look like. I mentioned nature, and I mentioned our institutions, the institutions of society. Normally healing institutions is how they talk about it, but it is prisons and hospitals. It's something or somewhere where you're kind of hidden. You're not really seen out in public necessarily, not unless you're like movie star, ultra wealthy, even though some of those people can stay on the downside and they're not like all out in everybody's face type of thing on social media and whatnot, or on the stage and screen. And this is the stage and screen, actors and actresses, right? And people putting on performances, like as in musicians, but also of course politicians. So 17 degree is the Leo degree. So when we say the Leo degree, absolutely entertainers and entertainment, but also those who aren't entertainers and who aren't comedians, who are like social media people, right? They've got they do a podcast, or they're vlogging every damn thing they do with their little mini video clips or whatever, their reels or whatnot. And so whether they're public figures and politicians, whether, whoever they are, the 17 degrees Leo degree can be highly dramatic. And this is the whole week because the node's here at 17 for this whole week and longer, right? But just know this because there's an extra emphasis of drama and dramatics because of Neptune going back into Pisces this week. And it's still a retrograde Neptune. Authoritarians even, because remember, this energy thinks it's a king. The Leo energy, if it's not kept in check with its pride and its ego, it thinks that others around it should bow down to it. Jupiter, from the 27th to the 30th October, all right? Jupiter sits at this 24 degrees. Jupiter's slowing down. Normally, it only sits at a degree for about 7-8 days. But because it's going to begin a retrograde at 25 degrees, it's slowing down. So it sits at the Pisces degree all the way until October 30th. So in my mind, this week is going to be very big for government and institutional energy, which it is. As soon as Mercury hits 20 degrees this week, which is on Tuesday, it's in its shadow zone. So this tells us we're remaining flexible because whatever Mercury reveals, whatever Mercury is learning, it's going to be coming back over these degrees in this chart. The shadow zone is from 20 degrees of Scorpio all the way to 6 degrees of Sagittarius. So Scorpio energy is shared values and money, natural resources of the planet. So we think tariffs, we think turf wars, right? And Mars is definitely a soldier and it's in Scorpio, so it's very strong. So we're seeing, even now in September, we're seeing a whole lot of very assertive actions on water. And yes, it's from the United States, folks. Not that there's not a whole lot going on around the world, but the US, while there's so many crazy things going on, there is military actions that the US is taking. Yet, because there's the news cycle is so fast, there's a lot of things keeping people, look over here, not over there type of shit. So just kind of keep all that in mind. The fight mentality is definitely Scorpio. Scorpio will absolutely do what it's got to do because, well, it's a soldier. So we're being flexible because it's all going to, there's going to be more revealed later on. We're only getting bits and pieces of the real story. We're learning about whether it's tariffs or, deeply bonded energy or wounds from the past or military movement, military might, military powers, home, across the pond, globally, whatever it is. We're hearing about it. It's in the news. It is government stuff. It's in an opposition with Uranus and Sedna. Shocks and surprises. Can be technology, can be an authority figure that has to do with technology, like a boss or, a trillionaire or whatever the hell. News, social media. But tech's a big one. So we often think AI, and there should be some sort of surprises that we're dealing with. Scorpio season begins, and it begins on October 22nd.